And a good evening to you. Welcome inside the Bottom Line. Special edition here tonight. Braves are traveling today. Braves didn't do real well over the weekend, I don't think.
No, they did not. They lost, I believe, 2 out of 3 coming out of the All-Star break.
Yeah, and they lost to the Cubs. No, they lost Cubs or White Sox?
White Sox.
White Sox.
Yeah.
I knew it was a Chicago team.
Yeah,
I
it was
couldn't remember
Chicago.
which one.
Yeah.
They're not exactly a stand-up, getting
They're having a
excited.
disappointing season. The White Sox, you mean? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But glad to have you along. We're also on WLON 1050 AM, 107.5 FM. I'm hoping we are. And we don't have American Legion baseball tonight either.
Okay.
That gets back underway on Wednesday night. We'll have the game for you Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If it takes 3, it's the best 2 out of 3 to see who gets the number 1 seed out of Area 4. And
between
Shelby and Cherryville.
Okay.
They're both going to the state tournament.
But who gets the number 1 seed?
Yeah,
Is that an extra home game?
I
Right?
think you just flip a coin. It's 1,000 degrees outside. I don't see any reason to do all that, but that's okay. I digress. So let me take care of a couple more things I got to do here. And
you're pressing buttons and
that
talking
is
at
not-
the same time.
That is not for Rembert, regardless of what my screen
No.
says, and I'm going to fix that right now.
You are
too.
producer, executive producer, director.
Way too many things that I have to remember
You got
at the
too
moment.
many hats.
Tim Wilcox is with us tonight, and we had Tim on a couple weeks ago. As I'll let him introduce his product and tell you about his first show that he had down at what I still call the Cross Country Playhouse down at Cross Country Campground. Thanks for joining us, Tim.
Hey, thank you for having me again.
Yes, sir. And pretty good show I think you had for your inaugural event down at Cross Country. Tell the folks about what you promote and how your first show went, and then how it's kind of evolved into this second one.
Well, I am Tim Wilcox.
And I'm going to have you pull that just a little bit closer to you.
Sorry.
That's
I am
okay.
Tim Wilcox, owner, promoter, CEO of Wrestling Evolution, LLC.
Mm-hmm.
We had our debut show, Lethal Lottery, back on June 24th at the Playhouse at Cross Country Campgrounds. Heck of a night. Unbelievable event. Crowd was hot the entire evening. Was into everything, every single match. Hopefully they come back. Hopefully they didn't leave disappointed either, and they'll tell their friends. And if they do, next time it'll be standing room only.
Good. So how many do you think you can fit in down there?
Well, I have 350 chairs at
Okay.
my disposal.
Okay.
And then after that, it would be probably standing room only.
Okay. And there's a good place to park. You can find some food around there, and it sounds like you did the right preparations, right promotions, and had a pretty good crowd from the pictures that I saw from the event. We were out of town.
Yes, I walked through and counted 230 some odd heads, but we were roughly estimating more between 250 to 300.
Pretty
in
good for your
attendance.
opening night.
Definitely. I consider it a success.
What kind of reaction did you hear from the crowd and what they were saying as they were leaving, how they enjoyed the night?
I had people, even after the second match, coming up to me and telling me it was a heck of a show.
Okay.
And even at the finish, at the end of the main event, people were patting us on the back and saying, "Are you coming back next month?"
Yeah. Well, and that's good.
Yes.
And that's good that you've kind of got piqued their interest in what you want to do. So a little different format this time.
This time is more standard. Lethal Lottery was the guys just didn't know who they were wrestling coming in, but this one, a stellar card from an independent wrestling standpoint. 6 matches on the card. We'll have a first ever ladies match this time around, and several first time people wrestling that evening, and as far as wrestling each other for the first time in matches. And then we have a few debuting, several actually, debuting wrestlers for the promotion.
You mentioned before we went on the air that the way the last event went, that even the people that were involved in the program did not know how it was going to end.
No, not at all. I had as they like to say in wrestling, it's kayfabe.
Right.
And the finish to the show was kayfabe by myself. I wouldn't tell my family, my friends, nobody. Nobody knew how anything was going to go down, and the swerve was pulled at the very end, and guys that were the commentators. My commentator for my YouTube show didn't even know the finish and was surprised.
That's awesome.
by everything that happened. So
That's awesome.
What do the wrestlers think?
The wrestlers, well, I mean, obviously they didn't know. I mean, they were wanting to know, and I won't tell them just the way it is, because that's good business.
Yeah. Well, and it's nice to, as I've said before, it's nice to bring it back the way that you kind of grew up with it, the way you remember it, and it's not such a. I'm not going to sell you short, because it is a production to put all that together, but it's not to the extent that you've got some far-fetched storylines that you're trying to go on with. Now, did I see that? Are you going to crown a champion this time?
No, the champion was crowned at Lethal Lottery. Our first inaugural champion, Christopher Prince, came out the winner in that, and the four-way elimination. And then we are going to be crowning what would be our legacy champion at this show in what I'm calling Ultimate Survival. First, it's a match with the 5 ways where 2 guys enter. Every 2 minutes, another man enters. No man can be eliminated until all 5 men are in the ring.
Oh, okay. That's a little bit different from a Survivor Series or those type matches that you usually see, because you can get rid of them as quick as they come in that way.
Now, this would be pinfall or submission, no over the top either.
Okay. Now, your last event, running time on that, about how long did it last?
I was steadfast on starting the show at 7 o'clock. I started the show at 7. I wanted the show with an intermission to be ended by 9:15, and my referee said the 3 count happened at 9:13.
Okay.
So
a little over, and you took an intermission, what, 15
minutes?
Yeah, so 2 hours. Yeah. I can remember, we've talked about this before, when Crockett was still in business and they would come to the high school when I was in high school and right after high school, they could tell you just about to the minute on when that thing was going to end. And usually they were 7:30 bell times back then, but usually it would be somewhere around 9:30, 9:45. There were no intermissions. They took no intermissions in those shows. But you feel like if there's been the excitement, people feel like they've got their money's worth as far as for the purchase of a ticket, and that much action and that many matches and that type thing. So that's why I was curious, just kind of what your average running show was.
Well, I had when we hit intermission, I remember walking out then too, and I had a couple of fans come up to me and go, "Man, that was a great show." And I was like, "It's not over. We still got 2 more matches to go."
Yeah.
And we're like, really?
Yeah. So, and they'll learn how it is.
Yeah.
And that's what you want, is the repeat business, and then tell somebody, and maybe they'll come back too. But you kind of settling on one show a month
right now, yes. Unless I can find probably maybe another venue. Maybe it depends if anybody's out there and has one that they're willing to rent for a good price. By all means, hit me up. Other than that, yeah, just one show a month for now.
Well, it's kind of one of those things to where it sounds like from what you're putting on, it's a long enough time that people would still have interest, but would kind of get excited about another one coming up. I think one of the things that hurt wrestling back in the day, when there were so many promotions, it was kind of oversaturated because everybody was buying the cable time and getting their. You could see back in the day you had protected territories to where certain promotions were only in these states. They shared wrestlers, but they didn't cross over. And then with the advent of cable, you were getting AWA, and you were getting McMahon out of the Northeast, and you were getting a whole Georgia wrestling and Florida wrestling, and you were getting a lot of I guess just an oversaturation of it.
Yeah. And I think most of the guys, most of the promoters, I'm going to say in this area, they really don't want to cross into somebody else's quote-unquote territory, even though none of us own a territory per se. But
the way it used to be.
But the way everybody the promoters that I have talked to want good business for everyone.
Right.
All around.
What's the closest competitor you have?
And again, I don't
and
really
some of them have kind of went out. I mean, like Smoky Mountain used to have that was going to be my next question. Do you share wrestlers?
Oh, yeah. Some of the guys that I've got on this show appear for Apple City, and they've appeared for, I didn't mention Main Event Wrestling. They've appeared for Title Belt. They've appeared for XWW, Extreme World Wrestling, out of, the Charlotte, Waxhaw area. I usually attend shows, scout talent. If I see what I like, I'll get to talking to them, get their information, and then I'll discuss business when I see fit.
Is that like
to put 'em in.
subcontracting? How would you describe that if you want to try to go out and recruit
Yeah,
somebody?
they're contractors, individual contractors.
Yeah, basically. I mean, they don't per se sign a contract or anything with me or any other promotion. It's basically
Handshake
a
deal?
handshake agreement.
Yeah.
You know, kind of. You go out there, we talk price, we agree on something, and then they come in and work for me for that show or for multiple shows. Sometimes I'll work out a deal where I'm like, I want you 2, 3, 4 shows, and let's work out an agreement where we can, maybe cut a break, possibly.
And go ahead and get scheduled too, so that you know the talents you've got coming up to make
Exactly.
plans for the events, moving forward.
Correct.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wondered, and this is me talking off the top of my head, if you mentioned Apple City, you said it's in the Hickory-Hiddenite area.
Yes.
Is there ever any talk, or is this even feasible to have maybe your group of wrestlers go up against Apple City?
No, I haven't talked. Seeing I'm new right now to the game, I haven't talked to anyone about doing anything in conjunction with one another. But there's plenty, I'm sure, once the name is out there enough of Wrestling Evolution, that we'll probably be able to do some kind of joint show.
That's
with
what I'm thinking
someone.
about, a joint venture kind of
I
thing.
can see something doing a joint show. I don't really want to, kind of like merge or anything like that.
No,
but,
no.
by any means. But because I like to run my own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind doing something down the line where we do like a, just for example, Apple City versus Wrestling Evolution one night or something. I'm sure
Right.
Nick Nitro, he's the promoter of that one. He would probably be up for that.
Okay.
Remind us again, so everybody knows, it's coming up this Saturday.
Correct. This Saturday, July 22nd, Wrestling Evolution presents the Hero Within Cross Country Campground, 6254 Highway 150 East in Denver, North Carolina. Sponsored by Air Force One Heating and Cooling of Hickory, the Untouchables of Denver, and Second Time Around Comics and More of Conover.
Okay, good. And bell time is?
Bell time is 7 p.m. Doors open at 6. Front row, $20 for adults. Kids, $10 for front row. General admission, $15 adults. General admission child, $5. Kids 5 and under free in general admission. And that night, fans, if you bring one pet food item, whether it be a wet cat food, wet dog food, a toy, bag of treats, whatever, I'll knock $5 off the adult ticket price, and those items collected will benefit the Humane Society
That's
of
nice.
Catawba County.
That's
That's
awesome.
nice. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. And 6 matches,
6 matches. I can run over those
if
matches.
you don't
right
mind.
now.
Yep.
And those matches are in no particular order. The other guys' tag team, Stuart Snodgrass and Keith Mack, will face the Heart Killers, Chris Vallow and Tommy Django. Our women's match will be Jasmine Howe versus Lexi Steele. Rayhan Inteas versus Dawn Furio. We have Rob Killjoy coming in to face Thomas Extreme. The Legacy 5-way scramble that I was talking about will be Myrick Moore versus Bodie versus the Blue Chipper, Chase Emery versus Peterbilt versus the Enchanting One, Tommy Okami. And the main event, though, will be for the Wrestling Evolution title, the two guys that made it to the very last, Crucifix versus the champion, Christopher Prince.
That's awesome. And Milton saying, good evening, Stephen, good evening. Shelton said, Lanny, let's you and I become a tag team partner and go after the belt. Me and you don't get around good enough to do that anymore, Shelton. Shelton's a little younger than I am, but you're younger than I am, so I know
He's my age.
I've retired.
So how many of those names you mentioned, those are their wrestling names, right? Most every one of those?
Pretty much every single one of them is that it would be their wrestling name, yes.
Okay.
Kind of like radio, except I never took a radio name.
Me either.
A lot of folks have radio names.
Yeah.
Tim, thanks for coming by, and we look forward to a report a month from now when you get your next show scheduled. And, I've told you before, doors are always open. You're welcome to come in with us.
Thank you so much.
Great job, Tim. Thank you.
Take it
Thank
easy.
you, guys.
All right.
We'll take a quick time out, and we'll be back with some more. We've got Marcus Shuford going to join us about 6:45. Back in a moment.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. And welcome back. Appreciate Tim Wilcox dropping by. As I said, Marcus Shuford will join us a little bit later on in the program. So let me I got a topic I want to get into. You got anything right there?
Just football stuff. I read a story today in The Athletic, Clemson related, and it was looking back at the history of Clemson. Do you recall maybe who was the player that helped spring the turnaround in Clemson football, where they made all the playoffs and winning and become a nationally relevant football program again? Do you recall who the one player may have been that helped turn the whole program around?
Gosh, no, I've slept since then. Throw me something out there.
C.J. Spiller.
Yes.
According to this story, because he was all set to go to Florida. Urban Meyer was coaching Florida. He was all set to go there, and Dabo was the wide receivers coach, I believe, at Clemson. He went in.
Correct.
Spiller was a 5-star. He went in and convinced him against his parents, against.
He got the job, the head coaching job at Clemson. I was not happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
He got the job because he was one of the top 5 recruiters in all of college football. and that's how he got the job.
But they said getting
Yeah.
C.J. Spiller to come to Clemson turned it all around for him, especially going into 4- and 5-star recruits in their living.
Guys, they've got to be more of the CEO route. They've got to be the ones that
Yeah, maybe nowadays.
bring in the
You know,
talent.
back then.
Absolutely.
Back then, I'm not so sure. I mean, you had Steve Spurrier calling all the plays at Florida at the time, and of course that was before Urban Meyer.
But now, you know, Spurrier had a little better career than Dabo did.
Yeah.
Just in case you're keeping score.
Oh, yeah. You mean
that's what I'm saying.
College and pro career. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean,
No
that's
doubt.
what, you know.
100%.
You know, it's like Ron Rivera still calls defense. Yeah, probably so. He's on a pretty good team in the pros. Yeah, pretty good career in the pros. We know you love Dabo, honey. Thank you. She loves her some Dabo.
And now C.J. Spiller is what? He's on the offensive staff at Clemson.
Yes, he is. Mm-hmm.
And they went back and they pinpointed it. It's the minute that they got him to flip from Florida to Clemson, and I don't know who the coach was. Who was before Dabo?
Tommy Bowden.
Oh, was Tommy Bowden the head coach? I have to go back and read the story.
I believe that's right.
But they said when C.J. Spiller, they didn't even know all the way up until signing day that he was going to go and sign with Clemson. Everybody thought he was headed to Florida and gave up on him, and apparently Dabo did not. But they pointed to that one signing as the one that flipped everything and got Clemson rolling, becoming a national power, playoffs, and all that.
25 coaches in Clemson's history. Okay. The first one that recruited me was Red Parker. He was there from 73 to 76. He was replaced by Charlie Pell. Charlie Pell from 77, 78. Coach Pell left in December of my freshman year, went to Florida. Okay. And Coach Ford came in. He was there from 78 to 89. Kenny Hatfield came in. Kenny Hatfield came from Arkansas. Coach Ford wound up being a head coach at Arkansas for a little while. When Joe Kynes, who was the defense coordinator with Coach Ford, was there as the interim, and then Coach Ford got the job.
We need to get Coach Ford on the show.
We can. I got his cell phone.
I heard him on a podcast recently.
He's great to interview. Yeah, I had him on when I started in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yep. Tommy West was after that because Tommy was part of Danny's staff at one point, and he had that Danny Ford country look to him. Still wasn't it. Then Tommy Bowden came in, but Tommy couldn't get over the hump. Dabo came in 2008 as head coach. So
this had to be, I think it was 2005 is when they signed C.J. Spiller.
He struggled. He struggled for a while. Lindsay, good evening, and Milton, and good evening, honey. Lindsay was at SmackDown at PNC Arena in Raleigh Friday night, I guess it was. And Milton was talking about the Rangers sold the Crawdads back in May to Diamond. Diamond Baseball Holdings owns a lot.
They do.
Of minor league baseball.
They do. Minor league teams, all A, AA, and AAA teams. So they're buying up teams at certain prices and everything, but that's another change you're seeing in minor league baseball. The other football story I wanted to mention real quick. This week is the East-West All-Star Game.
Yep.
High school All-Star Game in Greensboro. The last game. The last. Now, it goes back. It's not as old as the Shrine Bowl, but this is the last game that's going to be played in August. They're going to be playing them from starting this December.
And it's going to compete against the Shrine Bowl. It has to.
Maybe it's a week after. They do it in South Carolina. They have the North-South game in South Carolina a week after the Shrine Bowl, and that's after their championships, too.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Hey, Richard, good evening. Glad to have you.
Because the players don't want to play. Yeah. One, the best players are already in college. Yeah. Two, even some of the second-level players, the Division FCS and Division II players, they're in summer camp right now as well. So
we went to summer school. Jamie and I did.
Yeah, and they're doing that too, but they don't want to go and say, hey, let's go practice for 4 or 5 days.
And you got the early graduations in December as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're hoping to move the game.
Semester.
They're hoping to play the game in December, and that'll get maybe more kids to participate.
So does that mean that they won't change the coaching clinic? It'll still be
coaching.
July.
No, they're hoping. Stuff that I read, they're hoping that by still having the coaching clinic in the summertime, that they'll get college coaches to come and speak, as opposed to now they're kind of busy. So we'll see.
Okay.
But this is the last game, Wednesday night in Greensboro. It's the last time they'll ever play in July.
home of the Whirlies,
Yeah.
Grimsley.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a story for you.
And you got notes.
This
You
is
got the story.
legit. This is legit.
Okay.
I talked to Keever about it this afternoon. He stopped by. But this was out of the Athletic, and I don't have my glasses, so I can't read it
You want to
really
use
good.
mine?
No. David Ben, I believe is his name. But he wrote an article that says, what should college football conferences look like?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
The common sense realignment. And I loved it.
Well, with Nicole Auerbach, who also writes for The Athletic and does a lot of stuff with the ACC, they do this every couple of years. They wrote an article 5 years ago and said, what is a realignment going to look like? And they quoted Greg Sankey and some of the other commissioners, and they got it dead wrong 5 years ago. Dead wrong.
They got it right this time,
Okay.
in my opinion. Instead of the Power 5, it would be the Power 8. Okay? Most of the conferences have 8. A couple of them have 9. But if you haven't heard the breakdown, I'll give you the breakdown. And I like all of them. I'm completely good with all this. The ACC would become – and what they want to do is they want to get to where they've got some type of a central management, whether it's the NCAA or something else, that negotiates the TV deal for all of these inside this group, okay, so that you're not poaching each other to try to get another extra dollar. This is what the ACC would look like. Clemson, Duke, Louisville, Maryland, Carolina, State, Rutgers, South Carolina, Virginia, and Wake Forest.
Question. How do you get those schools to leave
No.
the Big Ten to go to the ACC?
That's what I'm saying. The NCAA comes in and says, okay, we're scrapping all this. We're going to take over like the NFL. This is how we're going to lay out our divisions.
With a college pro, because they hold all the power.
Right, and that's what won't happen. But I like it anyway.
Yeah. Because I don't think Maryland's going to ever come back into the ACC. They got
No.
too much of a good deal money-wise
Yeah.
in the Big Ten.
In 84 was when the Supreme Court allowed schools and conferences to negotiate their own TV rights, which sounded good, but it really hadn't worked out good because they poach each other, trying to get more money. The Southwest Conference would come back, okay? Everybody plays 7 conference games, minimum, and 3 of your games have to be against other Power 8 schools.
And you rotate, probably. I like that idea. I agree.
Kind of like the NFL does.
Yeah.
The Southwest
100%.
Conference would look like this: Arkansas, Baylor, Houston, SMU, TCU, Texas, Texas Tech, Texas A&M.
Okay.
I like that.
You know who we ought to have to talk to about this?
Who?
Your buddy Bill.
Yeah.
Bill Bender.
I got to get with Bill. I hadn't talked to him in a long time. Super conferences don't make sense. They're not conferences. They're loose associations because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
The Big East looks like this. This answers some of your ACC questions.
This is a new conference, the Big East.
Boston College, Florida, Florida State, Miami, Penn State, Pitt, Syracuse, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, and Central Florida. It'd be a East Coast.
That's travel problems. I don't.
It ain't any worse than it is now.
You don't need to have Boston College and anybody with Miami and some of those other schools.
Okay. All right.
I don't know where else you're going to put Boston College.
SEC, 8 schools. No, I'm sorry, 9 schools. Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Vanderbilt. That is a Southeastern Conference.
It is. They got to get rid of Vanderbilt, though. Is this just for football, by the way?
I think it should be for everything.
Yeah.
Because of the travel. Basketball could go back to home and home.
Could do that. Yeah.
Baseball.
But you talk about travel. You got Boston College in Miami. That's Boston to Southern Florida.
But you've got Southern Cal coming to.
That's a mess. I know. I agree.
Okay.
100%.
Big Ten would look like this: Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Northwestern, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Purdue, and Wisconsin.
That's probably.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
Western Athletic Conference would be Arizona, Arizona State, Boise State, BYU, Colorado, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Utah.
Not bad. Not bad.
The Big Nine.
The Big Nine
The
Conference.
Big Nine. Yeah, get away from these names. You're the Big Nine, the Big 10, the Big 12. The Big Nine would be Cincinnati, Illinois, Iowa State, Kansas, Kansas State, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State.
That's not bad. The Central Conference.
Yes.
Or the Midwestern Conference.
The Pac-8, this rounds them out. The Pac-8 would be Cal, Oregon, Oregon State, Stanford, UCLA, Southern Cal, Washington, Washington State.
Makes sense.
Now, that's why it'll never happen, because it makes sense.
Makes too much sense.
But the other, there was somebody said, well, let's remove Rutgers from the ACC and let's put Virginia Tech in there. Well, no. Well, then what do you do about West Virginia? What you do, those become non-conference games that you schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those become non-conference games.
How many schools are that? Is that 64?
No, it's got to be more
80,
than that.
80-some maybe?
No, because there's
9 times 8, 72.
There's not 9 in every one of them, though.
There's not
8 in some of them.
Okay, so there's 8 conferences or 9?
There's 8 conferences. All right, the ACC has 10 teams. Okay.
All right, so there's somewhere around 70 you're looking at then.
Yeah, I think so. And then the Southwest has 8. The Big East has 10. But I like the stuff where everybody plays 7 conference games, and then 3 of your games have to be against other Power 8 schools.
Now you're going to have folks like up in Boone upset about this because they're not involved, and you got Central Florida, or you got other schools that App may be able to beat on a consistent basis.
But they've never done as well as they've done in the polls against these other schools.
SMU?
Central Florida is one that comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean
Boise.
App could beat Boise on a consistent basis.
Not last year.
It depends. When they played them early in the season, maybe they could.
But they can't play with Auburn and Alabama and Georgia and Clemson and Michigan and Ohio State and Southern Cal. And
so what do you put these other schools, and what do you call that? That's the East Carolinas and Charlottes.
It needs to be like it used to be. Mm-hmm. You had 1A and 1AA. They were Division I schools, but they were 1A and 1AA.
That's FCS.
That's a whole different animal in itself.
Okay. But no, 70 schools, that's not a bad thing. And of all those 70, there are probably, that you mentioned, 3 or 4 or 5 that probably needs to have jiggle around a little bit.
Well,
like I
told you
I
what.
I don't know where you could put Boston College. But
I told you what my idea was. And I'm not the originator of this, okay, because I heard this on a Talking Head program. You have 64 teams, 8/8s, 64 teams. They're not hard-coded conferences. If you drop out of the 64, going back to an Appalachian, if you drop out of the top 64 in the rankings at the end of the year, you don't get to play next year till you can get back into that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea in theory. I just don't think you'd have.
You're always competing. That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't think you have college presidents go for that. But then again,
depends on how big the check is.
Yeah, you got to get rid of the fact that some of these colleges and universities schedule games 10 years out.
Stop that.
Yeah, without a doubt, 100%.
Stop that.
Yeah.
Because you're already going to know what 10 of your games are.
Yeah.
Because
you have to worry
7 and 3, and it's going to come from this crowd. And go ahead and say, if you don't like the play-in like I had it, that you can go ahead and map those games out. But, this year we're going to play 3 out of this conference, and next year we're going to play 3 out of this conference, and we'll do home and home or whatever. Yes, I am. And I agree, Milton. Just go football only on conferences. I think you need to do that, but I still think you need to get away from the super conferences.
Oh, I agree.
You don't need super conferences traveling across the country to play tennis and wrestling and golf and volleyball.
In the middle of the winter?
Yes, yeah.
So if you have 10 games, you have 7 in conference, 3 non-conference, that'll leave you 2 games to go play, Little Sisters of the Poor.
Correct.
And write them a big check.
Correct.
That'll keep some schools in business.
Correct. But you know that you're going to get 10 games.
Yeah, that matter.
You're going to have 10 games that have meaning that everybody has to play. 10 games from the same pool. And that's what you're not doing now. But yet you're paying the same price for those tickets.
Why can't you do 7 and 4?
I'm okay with that. 7 and 3 is just what they came up with.
Yeah, 7 and 4. That means you'd play four of those conferences, right? You said there are 8 total? You'd have to, 4 1 year.
And one tune-up. And one tune-up.
Yeah, why not?
And yes, Lindsay, I am suggesting larger centralized governance.
And
but the reason why, because these individual schools can't do it by themselves.
No. And even go down to the smaller D2 schools. We're going to see that this year. The SAC last year, when this is the second year and the final year, I think, they went to this 2 divisions conference, which I don't necessarily agree with. They're dropping it because 2 or 3 schools are leaving, forming their own conference, and the SAC's going to go back to 1 conference, 11 schools starting next year.
10 conference games.
10 conference games. You only have to find 1 non-conference game.
Now, the other thing that I did not mention, and now I've lost it when you said that. Oh, conference championships. There's no divisions. Conference championships would be number 1 plays number 2.
Yeah.
I want to do away with conference championships
Agreed.
because it's a rematch of something you've already seen.
Agreed.
And then in this scenario, you could see it again in the playoffs. I don't want to see the same 2 teams play 3 times.
Yeah.
So I don't like conference. I would here again. I've said this before. I don't care if you expand another round of playoffs and get rid of conference championships. I'd rather see that than conference championships.
Yeah.
And conference championships now, they don't really have bearings per se on playoffs. And conference championships now don't really matter at this level.
You're just talking about the big schools.
The big schools, yeah.
I think it matters to some schools, say in FCS or the other 5 conferences that would have a conference championship game that would probably matter because there might be a bowl game down the road if they win.
Even that's screwed up because they've already got these tie-ins.
Well,
we're going to take the number 4 from this conference. We're going to play the number 3 from this conference.
I still think it means a lot to the alums of certain schools if you win a conference championship game and then go to a bowl game. Like I throw out East Carolina. They've gone back-to-back bowl games. They won a bowl game last year. That means something to their alums, even though that, they're not going to be ranked in the top 10 or the top 15 anytime soon.
I'll ask this question. I ask this question all the time. Would you've been involved with D2 football forever. Would you rather play a meaningless bowl game or chase for a championship?
Oh, I would chase for a championship.
There you go. Yes, you're correct, Lindsay. There are too many bowl games. I'm okay with all the bowl games and just make them sites for playoff games. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But they're meaningless bowl games. And I've still said, I said this too, the home team, play that first round at the home team with the better record.
Yeah. And the third choice you should have said is chase the money, which is what all these schools are doing. They're chasing the check.
But there's a lot of schools that go in the hole trying to play at a bowl game because they're obligated to X amount of tickets, X amount of hotel rooms.
They're not obligated. They can just do what Notre Dame used to do and say, thank you, but no thanks. We're not going to go to a bowl game this year. Wasn't there a school last year that did that or 2 years ago?
Well,
or definitely during COVID, a couple of schools said we're not going to do this.
One of the things, and maybe it was because Appalachian went so many times, but it was one of those things where be careful what you ask for in going into the next level, because now you went to the Camellia Bowl. I'm not knocking any bowls, okay, no phone calls. The Camellia Bowl instead of playing 3 games at home and chasing a championship. Yeah. I don't ever see Appalachian, Charlotte, ECU,
Marshall.
Yeah, I don't see those becoming schools that can compete with the Alabamas and Ohio States.
Yeah, but you mentioned earlier, like a Boise State. What's the difference between a Boise State and Appalachian?
I'm not saying that there is.
Or Fresno State.
I'm not saying there is.
Yeah. They're just there because of their geographical location.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I'll go back again. We said roughly 70 schools. Those 70 schools, not every one of them can compete for a championship ever in their dreams.
And I don't know how many of those schools really care about competing for a championship. They care about having a winning season, winning 10 games, which is hard to do, maybe going to a bowl game, satisfying their alums over the holidays. That's a successful season. Winning a national championship is not in their DNA. That belongs to 10 schools or 12 schools.
I've said that all along.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not going to change. Now, I agree with Keever by expanding the playoffs the way that they have now, that will be an opportunity for some schools to maybe bring their program up that are kind of maybe close so that you don't have the same 4 in every year because right now with only 4 slots, you had kids that were like, well, I know who that's going to come from a possibility of 6 schools getting in those 4 slots. So if I want to play for a national championship, but even the kids now don't care about playing for that national championship. They're more worried about how do I get to the NFL? How do I get money?
Yeah, I think that's still a small percentage, 10% or less.
Yeah. I know. I talked to Coach Ford about that when I had him on.
Don't you think the vast majority of if you play college football, other than the big, you talk about 5 or 6 or 7, 8 schools, the ones year in, year out compete for a national championship. You talk to the majority of the kids, they want to win as much as they can. Alums, like I said, 9 or 10 wins is a pretty good season.
I still think you got some dreamers out there.
Oh, no doubt, 100%
I think
there.
you still got some dreamers that want to be there. All right,
and those dreamers are the ones with the deep pockets, right?
I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a break. Marcus Shuford will join us on the other side. Thanks for joining in here on The Bottom Line.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stiefel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stiefel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
And welcome back. Jam up Jelly Tight tonight. We're going to go to our phones and bring our next guests on. Going into the Lenore Ryan Sports Hall of Fame, he's Marcus Shuford. Marcus, thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
So give me some background about you, high school ball, what years you were at Lenore Ryan, those type things.
Yes, sir. So I went to Newton Conover High School, graduated there in 2007. Played for the great Nick Basil. He was my head coach all 4 years. Got on campus at LR, I'd say fall of 2007, and I was at Lenore Ryan from 2007. Graduated in 2011.
Okay, and you are a brother to Cedric?
Yes, sir. I'm the youngest brother of the household.
Okay, because I remember seeing Cedric play here at Maiden. I'm not a Maidenite. I just live here. That's the way I like to phrase that.
I'm glad you said that.
And Nikki tried to. I played with Nikki's 2 years younger than I am, but Nikki was at East when I was at West. And when I quit coaching, Nick tried to get me to come up there, and because my wife is from Maiden, she told me I was banned from wearing red or green. That was the two colors I couldn't wear, except when I was at West Lincoln, because that was home. But congratulations on going into the Lenore Ryan Sports Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you when you get that call?
Honestly, it means the world. It means that I accomplished something. The hard work finally paid off, and just not only for me, but for my teammates, really, because I really wouldn't be here without my teammates, my coaches, and really the staff at Lenore Ryan. I was surrounded by a great group of individuals up there within the Lenore Ryan family. My teammates. I had two fellow Newton Conover Red Devils with me, Brian Sullivan and Mike Harold. Mike Harold was my roommate all 4 years at Lenore Ryan, so it was a home away from home.
You were part of, I guess, Coach Goldsmith's first recruiting class. All three of you guys came in together. Can you kind of go back a few years and tell us what that recruiting process was like for you? Because at the time, I believe LR was not very good. You came aboard, and those guys, you got the program turned around.
Yes, sir. It just wasn't me solely. It was I came in with a stud of a recruiting class, but the recruiting process for me at Newton, it was really what really drove me to Lenore Ryan was being able to play football for the next 4 years with my teammates from Newton Conover. Once we took that devastating loss to Reedsville, I was like, if I can't play ball with these guys, I think I'm done with football and try to focus on basketball. And then we had, as you said, Coach Goldsmith, Ron Boyd, come down and talk to us. They were really, really big into Mike Harold at the time and Brian Sullivan. Mike Harold was our defensive end / tight end, which stood at 6'3", 6'4", at 240 pounds in high school, and Brian Sullivan was our great running back, was hard-nosed with the ball in his hand, and on the other side playing outside linebacker for us. So really it was just like I'm not gonna say I was an afterthought, but I was the third choice in that, and just somehow those guys talked to me, and I think Coach Basil was a big part of that and introduced me to the Lenore Ryan coaches. and I think we just hit it off from there.
Coach Houston, we had him on the show a month or so back, and he spoke highly of you and said that the defense that got turned around when he was the defensive coordinator and you were team captain 3 times, that you were one of the most respected and also one of the best players he has ever coached.
Mike Houston, man, you can't say enough about him. I mean, what he put in at Lenoir-Rhyne is the same thing he did at Citadel, at James Madison, and currently at East Carolina. I spent, honestly, 75% of my time with Mike Houston. It was because he was my positions coach and my defensive coordinator. So I think Mike Houston groomed us to be the best. He wanted us to be the toughest, and as well as be the smartest out there. And those guys put us in a position like none other. So all we really had to do was just go out there and play and do what we were taught. So Mike Houston, huge credit to that coach, to that guy and his family. I really enjoyed playing for Coach Houston.
I don't know if you remember this, and this popped into my mind just now as I heard you talking. There was a game, I don't know what year it was, maybe your senior year, junior, senior year. You guys played Brevard. It was at Asheville High School. And I remember, it was your senior year? Coach Houston, I think, just had a hip replacement or something. And I interviewed him after the game, but he spoke highly of you. And I think I interviewed you as well because Brevard had one of the best running games in all of Division II football, and you guys shut them down, and I think you had a big game in that. Was that one of the games, or can you pinpoint one of the games that helped turn around the fortunes of LR football?
I believe so. So I believe Coach Houston had hip surgery going into my senior year. So I believe Brevard was one of the games that just like, hey guys, we're going in. I think it was a big turnaround overall for Lenoir-Rhyne football. Not only for our defense, but our offense took the field and played smash mouth football with those guys. So we ran the same exact triple option offense. So it was like, who wants it more? And knowing our defense, we played against our offense, every week in practice, so we knew how to defend it. So we went out there and played really well. One thing that stands out in my mind is I had a punt return to the end zone that game. Rest in peace to Geach. Geach was on the sideline. He was the last face I saw going into the end zone. He's just smiling, giving me a thumbs up, smiling going into the end zone, turn around. We had a clipping call, so that got called back. But Bard, I believe that was one of the games that really helped our defense turn around and really give us confidence, because I think we only held them to maybe 52, 55 yards total offense that game.
You got a dang good memory, man. Oh man.
No, I don't have that kind of memory. I can't tell you what I did yesterday.
Certain things stick out in my mind in regards to Lenoir-Rhyne football, and Brevard game at Asheville High will be one of them. Yes, sir.
So tell us what you're doing now.
So right now, I'm currently I work for a company called Lynette. We manufacture and sell hospital beds. So I run the purchasing department there out of Huntersville, North Carolina. So I've been with this company for just right under 2 years. So I really love it, and we're growing on a daily. So I love the family over there, and it really truly feels like a family, because I have a fellow Lenoir-Rhyne Bear with me over there, and Alex Folk, which we ran track together. So I enjoy the family there.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Congratulations again. Thanks for joining us, and much success in the future. We appreciate you taking the time for us.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for you guys. Juju, thank you for everything. Like I said, you deserve the flowers just as much as I do. You're a Catawba County legend, and we grew up listening to you. And Laney, like you said, back when Cedric was there at Maiden, Cedric was a great ball player, and I wish he followed through with it. And I wish I had the genes as Cedric and my brother Piggy, but I got the baby genes of the family. But again, I thank you so much for you guys taking the time and having me on.
Sounds like you did okay for yourself.
Yes,
congratulations, my friend.
Sir.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you, Marcus.
That's Marcus Shuford, And going in, when is that induction series?
September 30th.
September 30th.
It's the Hall of Fame weekend. It used to be on homecoming, which is usually first or second week in October. They're going to have it separate now of homecoming. It's called Hall of Fame weekend. Largest class going into the Hall of Fame, and none better than Marcus Shuford.
And who else going in?
Top of my head, Fred Goldsmith's going in.
Right.
Marcus Shuford, basketball player Larry Lentz. They have two other, I'd call them contributors. Tommy Deal, who's been a big super fan, so to speak. Roger Maxey, who's also been part of the Bears Club for many, many years. Softball player and softball and soccer, women's soccer player also going in. I may have missed one or two, but
I didn't
top
mean to
of
put
my
you on
head.
the spot.
No, you don't. But Marcus is one of the headliners, and you heard Mike Houston say a couple weeks ago when we had him on the show that Marcus was the captain on the field, 3-time captain. There aren't too many players in the history of LR that was the 3-time captain. And aren't too many players that came out of Newton Conover, especially recently.
Yeah.
And Marcus was there back in 2007.
Sounds like he was the baby. I guess he had
Yeah.
an older brother, plus Cedric was an older brother.
Yeah.
I want to say when I watched Cedric was mid-late 90s, I believe.
Yeah. I should have asked him if it had not been for LR, where would he have gone to school? Because he sounded as if it was going to be a package deal for all three of those guys, Brian Sullivan
And that's
Mikey
good
Harrell.
that they kind of
Yeah.
kind of stuck together like that.
Yeah.
What else you got, sir?
That
about
is it.
that time.
That is about that time indeed.
Since I'm on the radio, I have to kind of.
I won't see you for
watch
2
my
weeks.
times. No show next week. I'll be on vacation. Hopefully, who knows?
Is 4 coming in the morning?
Yes, sir. You're
Hey.
welcome to come back.
Well, maybe Thursday.
Okay, that's okay too.
I can do Thursday. That will send you off on Thursday. That I won't see you for 10 days.
That sounds good. Have a good evening, everybody. I will see you back here in the morning. I'm going to go ahead and break the radio station off. And thank you, folks, on WLON for listening. We'll send you back to Classic Hits here on 1050 AM. For the rest of you, have a good evening. I'll see you back here with Full Rembert in the morning right here if I can get all my stuff together. I can't even keep up with what computer I'm running right now. But I don't normally get on the radio because we've got other things going on. Have a good evening. We'll see you in the morning.